When people ask me why I decided to join QualDerm, I say I was hitting a wall. I found my expenses going up, my reimbursements going down. You know, my landlord, my employees all want a raise every year, and yet the insurance companies don't want to give us a raise. And so looking for economies of scale and having somebody help me look at ways to be more efficient was the way to go. So the first time I met the QualDerm suits, as we like to call them, we were at a professional meeting. And as we sat down, one of them casually mentioned that they had different doctors at the meeting that were part of QualDerm. And I said, oh my gosh, I would love to meet with one of the doctors that works with you all. It was the first time that any private equity firm had brought in a physician and volunteered to say, hey, talk to one of our physicians before we get even very far down the road. And that physician made it very clear that from the beginning, everything they did involved the physician's input and how to make the very best organization for dermatology. I will tell you that one of my biggest concerns when I looked at joining a larger organization was what impact they would have on how I delivered care to my patients. And I actually called physicians who were within the QualDerm group and said, is anybody going to tell me what kind of suture I have to use, or what kind of gloves we have to have, or what my hours are going to be? And I was reassured continuously that the physician shapes her practice and that you will have access to information as to why you may want to make a change, but in terms of having to make a change, that is not going to happen in terms of how we take care of our patients. So one of the things that I was most excited about with QualDerm was the fact that each state is independent within the overall group. I like the identity of being part of Georgia, and I wanted to grow in Georgia and have an opportunity to work with the other dermatologists I know in Georgia, and yet I have the resources to look at what people are doing in other states because we have some collaboration between the doctors, and we have the opportunity to say, what are you doing in Pennsylvania about PRP? And I can say, well, what are you doing in Georgia related to electronic medical records? We have some dialogue, which is great. People have said, you know, what's the biggest difference for you? And one of the most important things for me is I don't wake up at night worrying, can I make payroll? I know that I have financial backing behind me. If I want to do something innovative or take a risk, I do it with their support, and they often come to me and say, here's an opportunity that we think you might find helpful in the practice in Georgia, and we look at it together. One of the opportunities that QualDerm brought to us was to rethink the way we manage our revenue cycle. And honestly, a year and a half ago, I had no idea what revenue cycle management was. And now that I know that revenue cycle management is if you go to McDonald's, you order, hand them money, and walk out the door with your food, that's a revenue cycle. But unfortunately in medicine, the revenue cycle is much more complicated. So one of the things that QualDerm has done is really clarify ways to make that revenue cycle more efficient, and has helped us reorganize our staffing to take advantage of some of the things they know better than, frankly, we knew. So within QualDerm, we're doing some very exciting things to bring all the physicians together across the states. We have a quality council, which is made up of at least one representative from every state, one physician representative from every state, to talk about how we enhance the quality that we deliver as an organization. As part of that, we again bring ideas to the table, and we feed those ideas back to all the providers, both the physicians, the nurse practitioners, and the PAs in terms of ideas and thought-provoking challenges to do things better. The culture in an organization makes all the difference, and people want to work in a place where they feel appreciated. They want to work in a place where they feel like they've got great doctors and they're proud of what those doctors do. They want to work in a place where the patients walk out going, gosh, that was a really good experience. And we have tried to maintain that as we grow, and QualDerm is committed to helping us continue to do that. That's important to them. That's what's going to make the difference in the long term for where you're successful and how successful you are.